I mean, it was a really difficult match, but I've played her a couple times this year, so I just tried to focus on the things that I'm good at and, yeah, the positives that I could keep, I guess, thinking about moving forward in the match. To stay honest, I had a talk with Tomas before the match, and he was very clear to tell me not to focus on the score. So I wasn't very conscious of the score line during the entire match. I was just trying to play point by point because the last time I played her, not counting French Open, but in Madrid, like when I won the first set, I was like very conscious of trying to close it out. So this time I
There is a moment in every athlete's career when history stops being a wall and starts being a doorway. For Naomi Osaka, that moment arrived on a Sunday afternoon at Wimbledon, on a court where the ghosts of 3 straight losses were waiting for her, wearing the name Aryna Sabalenka. Let's set the scene. Osaka, seeded 14th, had never before reached the 4th round at the All England Club, not once in her career. And standing across the net from her was the world's number 1, a woman who had beaten her 3 times already that very year. 3 times, including a bruising defeat at Roland Garros just weeks earlier, a match where Osaka had clawed her way to the 4th round for the first time ever, only to run straight into the same wall. So, when the draw paired them again, this wasn't just a quarterfinal round rematch. It was a referendum. Was Osaka going to keep bouncing off this particular obstacle forever? Or had something changed? Here's the thing about championship tennis. The scoreline never tells you about the fear in the moments before it starts. Osaka herself admitted the psychological weight of facing someone who had her number again and again. But she said something revealing beforehand. That losing to the best player alive was, in its own strange way, almost a badge of honor. If you're going to lose to someone, you pick the top ranking. But she wasn't planning on losing. She said she'd learned something from every one of those defeats. And on Sunday on center court with the whole tennis world watching, we found out exactly what she meant. Because from the very first game, something was different. Osaka's serve, the shot that has haunted her at various points over the years, became a fortress. Not a single service game lost. Not one. Think about what that means against the most powerful returner in the sport. Every single time Sabalenka looked across the net, hoping to find a crack, Osaka slammed the door shut. The first set unraveled with brutal efficiency. 2 early breaks. Osaka surging to 4-2 lead, then pulling away entirely. You could see the frustration creeping into Sabalenka's body language, the tight shoulders, the muttering, the sense that the match was slipping through her fingers before she'd even found her rhythm. Osaka, meanwhile, was untouchable, precise, ruthless. She mixed in aces at exactly the moments Sabalenka needed a way back in, and there simply wasn't one. 6-2. First set, Osaka. Now, if you know anything about Aryna Sabalenka, you know that counting her out is a fool's errand. This is a woman who has clawed her way back from match points, who has turned matches inside out with sheer power when everything else fails. And true to form, she started finding her serve again in the second set. The break chances started coming back. 2 separate times, Osaka stood right at the door of victory, 2 break points away from slamming this match shut early, and twice Sabalenka reached somewhere deep and shut it down. This is where the match transformed into something else entirely. Not a rout anymore. A standoff. Game after game, both women held. The tension compounded with every single point. You could feel it. Anyone watching could feel it. This set was not going to break on serve. It was heading somewhere far more dangerous. A tiebreak. Sudden death. The kind of stretch where years of training reduce down to a handful of points, and whoever blinks first loses everything they've built across the previous 90 minutes. And in that crucible, something remarkable happened. Sabalenka, at one point, turned her frustration inward so violently that she struck herself in the head with her own racket. That's how much pressure was pressing down on that court. That's how much this mattered. But Osaka did not blink. She dominated that tiebreak. Completely. Every ounce of composure that had carried her through the first set reappeared exactly when she needed it most, and she closed it out 7-6, taking the second set, and with it, the match. Let's put this performance in context, because the numbers here are almost staggering. Osaka outaced Sabalenka 8-5. She won an extraordinary 87% of her first serve points, a number that would make most players on tour blush. 21 winners to Sabalenka's 15. This wasn't a lucky escape. This wasn't survival tennis. This was domination from the first point to the last against the best player in the world. And maybe the most important number of all, this was the head-to-head. Before Sunday, Osaka's lone victory over Sabalenka dated all the way back to 2018. 7 years. 7 years of losing to the same opponent, of watching her name pop up on the draw sheet like an omen. 7 years, erased in straight sets on the biggest stage in tennis. Afterward, Osaka reflected on what those previous losses had actually given her. She pointed out that across recent months, the only players who had beaten her were Sabalenka and IGA's Swiatek. A reminder that her struggles hadn't come against just anyone, but against two of the most dominant forces the sport has ever produced. And rather than let that history defeat her mentally, she said she used it. She studied it. She turned every previous defeat into a blueprint for exactly this moment. That's the story here. Not an upset built on luck, but a comeback 3 years in the making, built point by point, lesson by lesson, until the student finally outgrew the lesson entirely. So, where does this leave her? Osaka now moves into the quarterfinals of Wimbledon, a tournament where she has never before advanced this far in her career, and she'll face the 10th seed Karolina Muchova, a dangerous, crafty opponent in her own right, someone who thrives exactly in the kind of high-stakes, high-pressure tennis Osaka just demonstrated she can win. But for now, let this moment breathe. A 3-time tormentor dismantled, a career milestone shattered, a player who spent years being told what she couldn't do, standing on center court having just proven, in the most emphatic way possible, exactly what she can. 3 wins stand between Naomi Osaka and her first Wimbledon title. After Sunday, after that serve, after that tiebreak, after finally slaying the dragon that had haunted her for years, you'd be foolish to bet against her taking every single one of them.